What's shaking, world? Minasan yokoso. Welcome to the Layup Line with Nick Fazekas and John Ramey. I'm Ramey. We are 2 months and 11 days from the anniversary of one of the great public calamities of the 20th century, the sinking of the Titanic. Approximately 1,500 people perished in the frigid North Atlantic waters on April 15th, 1912. Horrific. However, the 20th century's most glamorous tragedy has spawned one of the most evocative metaphors of the 21st, the iceberg. The iceberg is a useful concept in sport. The hubris of the gleaming Titanic steaming full throttle into such a low probability scenario ending in disaster is the real world equivalent of an upset, a big one. The Titanic was unquestionably a 1 seed. The iceberg was a low major automatic qualifier. If you had the iceberg on the money line, your payout would have been life-changing. We were tempted to call the Nevada loss at Boise State an iceberg job, but that would be incorrect. Boise State was the favorite after all, and Nevada shook off its hubris after about the first 13 minutes to rally from a 20-point deficit to force overtime. So not an upset, not an iceberg. The real iceberg floating low and dark on the horizon is the Saturday night matchup against Fresno State at Lawler Event Center. Lose that one, and Nevada's path to the postseason narrows significantly. Icebergs ho! Plus NBA trade deadline chatter and Super Bowl talk with Nick Fazekas on the Layup Line next. Welcome to the Layup Line, everybody. I am John Ramey, and joining us from Scottsdale, Arizona is the Hall of Famer, the all-time leading scorer in the history of Nevada basketball, Nick Fazekas. Nick, we were agonizing via text about the Nevada overtime loss at Boise State. We record this on a Wednesday. It was Tuesday night. Nevada coming up just short 91-87. It's just hard to spot a decent team 20 points on the road and then come back to win, but Nevada almost did it. Is it foolish to try to take a silver lining from that?
Maybe it's a little foolish, John. I mean, of course, like you said, spotting the team 20, kind of coming out as flat as the pack did is never a positive thing, if you ask me. It kind of felt, these games, kind of like we have talked about, kind of text about, become a little bit of must-wins, especially when you're looking at a quad one game there at Boise, because that's just that important for your resume and to build that resume as big as you can to get into March. So, yeah, it's a little demoralizing to watch those guys come out and be as flat as they did, spot Boise 20 points, and then kind of have like the exhilarating comeback with Tayshaun hitting that floater to get into overtime, and then it was kind of all for nothing as overtime got off to not such a great start and they weren't able to claw back. But, I do not think that the Pack are dead. I don't think there's any reason to be, burying them at this point. But, those are the type of games that you would like to see this squad basically get over the hump. That game didn't have the same exact characteristics of the game at Utah State, but it was just 2 games that kind of like slipped away, that those are like 2 games that if you get those, then your resume starts to stack up pretty much against anybody's.
Yeah, you talked about the quad one opportunity. Boise State's net going into that game was 60, so if Nevada had won that game, a true road game, that would have been a quad one victory. Nevada still doesn't have one of those. They have 3 quad one opportunities left, assuming the net rankings hold where they are at the start of this week. How quickly do you want the team to get over it if you're Steve Alford, if you're one of the players? Nick, do you want to sit on it and feel the hurt for a few days, or do you need to get rid of it quickly because you've got Fresno coming up on Saturday night?
I think you got to get rid of it quickly, John. I mean, that's the beauty of the basketball season. That's the beauty of playing virtually every Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever, however the schedule kind of falls, but it's usually 2 games a week. And that's the beauty of it, is that you get to turn the page really quickly. Maybe you didn't play your best. But there also has to be some learning done. There has to be a film session. There has to be some understanding of why the game went the way it went, or why the game didn't go according to plan, and maybe the game plan wasn't executed the best it could be done. So I know personally, I always enjoyed that there was the fact that if you played well, you were able to turn the page and just kind of move on to, Saturday at Fresno like really, really quickly. But at the same time, it's just a bummer when you leave those ones because you're not getting a second chance, right? That was the last time you're going to get to play in Boise. There's not another quad one in Boise, so those are just kind of like missed opportunities. But yeah, like I said, I don't think you need to bury the pack at this point. Again, we've talked a little bit about how many bids the Mountain West actually gets, and we've kind of talked about like that top 5 section. Boise's kind of walking their way up in there. But yeah, you want to see them bounce back and get a big win against Fresno, that's for sure.
Was it just the defense? I mean, to me, if you want to distill it down, it was kind of like the defense showed up about 12 minutes after the game started. Nevada's offense, I mean, clearly was fine. They got 79 points in regulation. If you're going to do that on the road, you're going to win most of the time. So was it just the defense from the start? And what is it about a slow start defensively? Because that's different to shooting poorly at the outset.
Yeah, I mean, I played a long time, John. I mean, defense and offense go hand in hand. There's no questions asked. I understand that it feels like you can build momentum in a game with offense, and that's definitely what everybody's there to watch, is the shots going in, the transitions, the dunks, the threes, because that's what's the fun part of the game. No one wants to sit there and watch a team lock down on defense unless you're just some, defensive guru guy that just enjoys boring basketball, which not too many of us are. But, when you're constantly taking the ball out the net, there's no transition. It's constantly playing against a half-court defense that's set, and it just becomes a little bit more tricky to get easy baskets and put an end to the run. And that's kind of what it felt like, where there was just like a little bit of lack of, attention to detail, I guess you could say, on the defensive end last night at the first beginning. And you just kind of dug yourself such a hole that there wasn't enough time to come back. And at the same time, there can also be those psychological barriers. I know it was stuck at 10 there for a while, and they finally got past, and then they were actually able to climb the entire mountain and get it back to even. But you just exert so much energy trying to climb that mountain to get it back just to even, because then you got to push a little bit further to win the game, and that's what the Pack weren't able to do. So last night, the defensive, energy and the defensive intensity kind of seeped into the lack of offense until, like you said, it got to about midway through the first half, and then both ends kind of picked up. And one bright spot is Corey played great, shot the ball really well, and it's something that you want to see going forward if the Pack are going to win some of these quad one opportunities going forward.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that real quick. I mean, Corey Camper Jr., reigning Mountain West Player of the Week, coming off a career-high 32, drops 35, shoots 14 of 22 on the road. Like, are we seeing from him, I mean, Chris Murray has said this, are we seeing from him a skill set that maybe could translate at the next level? I mean, is that too hyperbolic?
I mean, he shoots it really, really well. I've said that since I've watched Corey. I mean, he shoots the heck out of that ball, and he has really good rhythm. Obviously, I think some of probably what maybe holds Corey back is his size. He's not a big stature guy, but, at this stage in the NBA, there's a place for guys that can shoot the ball at the level that he shoots it at. And, he does a really good job. I know on the broadcast last night watching the game, there was a lot of talk about how he's running, and that's one thing that Corey is. He's in really, really good shape, and he gets his feet set, and he's able to knock those shots down. And it's a big-time weapon, especially with the sets that Coach Alford's running and the kind of offensive scheme that the Pack are running. Is a lot of it is based off of Corey coming off these down screens, double staggers, things like that, to try to get him as many shots in rhythm as possible. And yeah, last night getting 35 on the road that's a big-time night for sure, John.
All right, we're going to call a timeout on the layup line. When we come back, we're going to talk to Nick about the NBA trade deadline. Not so much about the ins and outs of who's going where, but what that's like to experience as a professional athlete. So stay tuned for that on the layup line.
The following segment is sponsored by Bradley, Drendel, and Janae.
Welcome back to the Layup Line. I'm John Ramey. Nick Fazekas joins us. And we are talking NBA trade deadline. Anthony Davis is going to Washington. James Harden is going to Cleveland. These are big upheavals in the landscape, Nick. Of course, where Giannis will end up is a big topic of conversation. But I wanted to focus on your experience as a professional, because even though college sports becomes more and more professionalized, the one thing, at least not yet, that differentiates the NBA and NCAA basketball, for example, are trades. Nobody's changing teams in the middle of the year. And that seems like something that would be completely disruptive personally and to an organization. I suppose at the professional level, you're used to it. But just with my bulk of experience, my entire basketball experience being at the collegiate level, can you explain how that works and your experience with trades in your professional career?
No, I think it's hard to say to get used to it. Again, you've talked about it being a business. The NBA is a business, and that's just kind of what it is. So it comes with the territory. The one situation that I was put in when I was back playing for the Mavericks after being drafted by the Mavericks, signed a 2-year contract, and instantly was sent down to the D League, right? So I was in Tulsa, John, playing really, really well. And I was there the year between the Mavericks losing to the Heat and then obviously going on to win the finals the following year. So I was that in-between year with those guys. And I'll never forget, I was in Tulsa, got a call from my GM. GM said, hey, you're playing tonight against the Blazers. We're trying to make a move, and we'll fill you in when you get back to Dallas. I packed my stuff up about as quickly as I could, drove back to Dallas, played against the Blazers that night, played okay. Walked into the locker room before the game, and I was really good friends with the weightlifting coach, and he very much was a good friend of mine because I had to stay in shape all season and in the preseason, so we got to know each other pretty well. And he was looking at me with like a different look on his face, and I walked up to him. His name was Hack, and I was like, Hack, what's going on? He goes, we're trading for Jason Kidd and Josh Howard, Sagana Job, Jerry Stackhouse, all these names. He's like, there are about 5 or 6 guys. He goes, they're all out, and Jason Kidd's coming in. And he goes, and you're staying, and we're not going to have too many guys to play, so you're going to have to start playing. So obviously, my face lit up from ear to ear, and everything was great. The next day I show up to practice, and Hack is looking at me a little differently. I'm like, Hack, what's going on? He goes, Devin George has a no trade clause, so he doesn't want to go to Jersey, so they're going to have to revamp the entire trade. So Donnie Nelson Jr. was our GM, and he actually called me after practice that day, and he lived in Plano, which was not far from me, just north of Dallas, and he said, hey, Nick, let's meet at Starbucks. I want to explain to you what's going to happen. And so me and Donnie, which was great, really want to tip my hat to Donnie for doing this for me, because I was a 22-year-old kid, and he explained to me exactly how it was going to happen. He told me they were bringing Jason Kidd in. He told me that my salary didn't work. And that's one thing I think that, the casual fan don't quite understand, is that these trades and all these contracts and stuff that happen with the NBA, it's just a giant puzzle. And you have to have the right piece for that part of the puzzle. Otherwise, the trade just doesn't work. So, long story short, I got cut. That changed, obviously, the trajectory of my career, my path. I obviously got paid out the last 2 years, but I was sitting at home the next day, not with the team anymore, because I was sitting there on waivers. And Keith Van Horn had never actually officially retired. He actually passed a physical in New Jersey and got paid $4.5 million to pass a physical just to get cut the very next day. So that is how the NBA trade deadline works with the puzzle pieces. And that was my experience, John, which was quite a eye-opener for me after being in the NBA for about 4 months.
I had a hunch there was a good story there. We'll be right back to talk about the Super Bowl with Nick Fazekas on the Layup Line.
The following segment is sponsored by Nevada Department of Wildlife.
Fazekas and Ramey back with you on the Layup Line. The Super Bowl is Sunday, and we are recording this on Wednesday, so if you see a re-airing of this, take notes. You can mock us for what we get wrong. Nick, just real quick, my lukewarm take is the Super Bowl is about our 7th best championship. I think it's funny that it's the most watched, most kind of societally oriented around, I mean, I just off the top of my head, I'd say the World Series, the NBA Finals, both U.S. Open of golf and tennis, right? Stanley Cup final are all better championships generally. But the Super Bowl is the main event. Like, do you love the Super Bowl or do you just participate like I do?
I think I just participate more so. I don't think I love it. I do like it. I mean,
I don't dislike it. You know,
the Super Bowl feels like a national holiday at this point. I mean, everything is centered around it. I think the food and the dips and the stuff like that's always fun. It's kind of another excuse to kind of get family and friends together, which is always kind of fun for the Super Bowl. So I think that's a big portion of probably why I like it. I enjoy that that camaraderie that comes with watching the Super Bowl at somebody's house and having fun with it.
Okay, research purposes only now. We're just going to talk about some of the data that has been generated by the most powerful computers in the world regarding the outcome of this game. Seattle is favored by 4.5 points over New England. New England on the money line, not quite iceberg money line, but plus 195, and the over-under's 45.5. Again, for research purposes only, Nick, what might you like with this data set?
Research purposes only. I mean, yeah, we're only talking research here. I think it'd be fun, John, just because you have Drake May, who's obviously played at a really high level. I know Sam Darnold has a heck of a story where he wasn't welcome with the Jets. He didn't, it's just been a wild ride for him. But I almost wonder if it becomes like a Super Bowl that turns out to be like super duper ugly. That's like a 10-7 game and all the prop bets go under, and it's just like two defensives clash, and the quarterbacks are not completing passes. Like, that's kind of the fun part about, I guess, this research that this computers do for us, that you can kind of flip the script and you kind of get to make your own script. So there's a bit of me that wonders if that's what this game turns out to be. I understand the over-under is 45.5, so you're looking at like a 24-20 type of game, and I just don't know if I see these teams getting to those numbers.
Was the real Super Bowl the NFC Championship game? I kind of think it was.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, with Denver going down, or Bo Nix going down there, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what it feels like to me. I mean, Seattle's tough. That defense is tough. I just don't know if Drake May has seen a defense quite like Seattle's. And I mean, if Sam Darnold can go out there and manage the game and not turn the ball over, maybe Seattle puts him in some really good field position situations. I just think Seattle gets it done. I know it's the obvious pick. I know it's the public's pick. But, I mean, Seattle has looked really, really good all year long.
Do you, I mean, I don't care about the commercials. Do you have like a dip tradition or something, a Super Bowl hors d'oeuvre that you like?
I don't really think so. I got a good buddy of mine that makes a pretty good buffalo chicken dip, so hopefully he'll bring that this year.
Solid.
But yeah, everyone likes to do the squares. The squares can be fun if you understand how to do the squares. I know the prop bets can always be fun, of heads and tails, how long the national anthem goes, what color the Gatorade gets dumped on the coach. So that sort of stuff can kind of be fun. But yeah, I mean, it's a holiday, right, John? I mean, it's just a day that, is centered around football. It feels like all the wives probably don't know what the heck's going on, but everybody else is locked in and the kids are playing, and so it's always kind of a good time to be around.
Okay, that'll do it for Super Bowl chatter. We'll come back and we'll talk about the Japanese phrase of the week and maybe my miscalculation in my spring semester schedule, school chatter with Nick and Ramey when we come back on the Layup Line.
The following segment is sponsored by Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers.
Mopping our brows after a spicy Super Bowl segment. Back on the Layup Line, Nick Fazekas and John Ramey. And we have our Japanese phrase of the week. And Nick Fazekas, this seems to be one that is very useful and easily adopted by everybody.
Easily adopted by everybody. In America, we call it cheers. In Japanese, we call it kampai. And it is very much a useful thing that gets used in Japan and very much part of their culture. It's not even more so like cheers like after like a round of golf or like kind of like, maybe a good day of work or something like that you accomplished. It's more so like a full-blown, someone gave a speech and then everybody kind of has their drink, they hold their drink, and then the guy's giving the speech, and then, like literally you get set up and ready to go with your drink. And then it's, it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it's kampai, and everybody does it, and then it's kind of like a cheer. So maybe there will be some kampaiing after someone makes a big bet on this Super Bowl that we just discussed.
I like that. It's like a synchronized toast. It's very good.
It very much is.
Speaking of occasions to toast, Nick Fazekas and I are both on the backstretch of our studies at the University of Nevada, and spring semester could be our final one if we do not mess things up. How are you looking so far, champ?
I am looking good.
Yeah?
John, I think you're carrying a bigger load than I am. I've got 2 classes left. But yeah, it's tough. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like right there, but there's still a lot of work to be done, still a lot of points to be had, still several papers that have to be written.
Yeah.
I know I talked a little bit about in the discussion board in my one class was like, the professor had asked about a little bit about advice, and I think the biggest advice you can do when you're doing it our way, John, is you got to stay on top of it. You can't fall behind, because once you have to dig out of the hole, it kind of becomes really, really hard, and you kind of run out of points, and it just becomes really difficult. So I think the biggest thing for me is to just stay on schedule and finish the things as they're supposed to be done. But I know you, John, have a lot more to do than I have to do.
Yeah, I have to say, taking full-time classes, I'm at 16 units this semester, during basketball season is more challenging than it was during football season. And that's like kind of obvious, duh, there are more basketball games, but for some reason I didn't think about that, Nick. So I just want you to know I have specific admiration for basketball student athletes who are running around taking a full course load during the basketball season. So I'm a little behind, but I'm going to use the Super Bowl weekend to dig out of it, especially in Journalism 304, social media and society. So that will do it for us on the Layup Line. Great work, as always. He is the GOAT, Nick Fazekas. I'm John Ramey. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy Fresno State, and enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.